let's look at this chart for a minute. Again, there's 4 different priorities I have in prayer. There's a lot. This is just the morning prayer, and people have been sending me questions about Mincha and Mariv, and it's great. A lot of questions that come up. And as you see, there some people make prayer a priority and will pray every day the entire morning prayer, which might take over an hour, even maybe longer, an hour or more. Especially at the beginning, it might take even 2 hours, right? So it's a lot. It's a commitment, and therefore, even people who read the Siddur very well also sometimes find it hard to find time for everything in the Siddur, and therefore there's a priority. What you should pray first and what you should pray last. The red is first priority. So that's what we did in the last few weeks. Moed Ani, when we wake up. Ani Til Yadayim, after washing our hands. Asher Yatzar, after the bathroom. Elohai Neshama, in the morning, thanking for our spiritual side as well. And the last on these 5 things is Birkat Torah. Birkat Torah is also red. And again, this is the chart for women. You might think that Birkat Torah is maybe the blessing over the Torah. Maybe that's important for men who study Torah in yeshiva. Maybe that's important for men who go to synagogue and hear the Torah. And yet, in our chart, it's also red. Birkat Torah, the Shulchan Aruch says explicitly that men and women should say Birkat Torah. Birkat Torah is something for all of Israel to say. Not only that, it says we have to be very careful to say Birkat Torah. This is based on in the Talmud that says that the people asked, why did we lose the land of Israel? Why did we lose the land of Israel? And based on different verses, it says we lost it because that we didn't keep the Torah. But the people said, well, we kept the Torah. We kept the Torah. And the Talmud answers, you kept the Torah, but you didn't make the blessing over the Torah. You didn't make that blessing. The blessing changes the way you learn Torah. The blessing says why, the blessings in general are telling us why we are doing the action. And if you're learning Torah for the wrong reasons or not the correct, you might be missing the point, the Talmud says. In fact, the blessing in Torah is very long. Because why we learn Torah is there's a few reasons why we learn Torah and why Torah is so important. And therefore there's really 3 main blessings of learning Torah. So we're going to look at these blessings today. The Talmud also says, by the way, that this is a blessing from according to the Torah itself. There are 2 blessings one has to say. Again, according to the halacha, there's many blessings we have to say. We have to say 100 blessings a day, the Talmud says. However, most of these blessings are rabbinic. Right? The rabbis instituted the blessing to say before eating and before mitzvot. And when we see something amazing and we see a beautiful sight and before lighting candles on Shabbat, all these the rabbi said to make these blessings. However, 2 blessings are from the Torah. Which are the 2 blessings from the Torah? One is it said explicitly after we eat. After we finish our food, we make a blessing. Ve'achalta v'savata u'varachta. That's we call Birkat Hamazon, or benching in Yiddish. So that's one blessing from the Torah. The other blessing from the Torah, the rabbis learned out from Moshe. Before Moshe gave over his last speech, Hashem said, speak my word to the people. Moshe said, Havu Gadol Eloheinu. Everyone should give credit, give strength give honor to God before I speak, because I'm about to speak the words of God. And the rabbis learned out from there that there's a mitzvah to give a blessing, Birkat to Torah, a blessing before learning, according to the Torah itself, that you have to give honor to the Torah before learning. And that's done through a blessing. So